The Chemtrail conspiracy, a modern fairy tale for the paranoid. Once upon a time, in a world not so different from our own, people looked up at the sky and saw something strange, long, white streaks trailing behind airplanes. These streaks, known as contrails, were nothing more than water vapor condensing in the cold upper atmosphere, a phenomenon as old as aviation itself. But in the minds of some, these innocent clouds of ice crystals became something far more sinister: chemtrails, a secret government plot to control the population, poison the environment, or maybe just ruin your day. And thus, the chemtrail conspiracy was born, a modern fairy tale for the paranoid, complete with shadowy villains, gullible heroes, and a plot so convoluted it would make a soap opera writer blush. Now, before we move on, please help a small channel grow. Please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, good or bad, leave them below. Back to the story. Let's start with the basics. If the government really wanted to dose you with chemicals, why would they choose such a ridiculously complicated method? Spraying chemicals from airplanes is like using a flamethrower to light a candle. It's overkill, inefficient, and likely to draw attention. Think about it. Airplanes are expensive to operate, and their flight paths are tracked by countless agencies and enthusiasts. If the government wanted to pump you full of mind-control drugs or fertility suppressants, they could just slip them into the water supply, the food chain, or even the air you breathe. Heck, they could lace your morning coffee with whatever nefarious substance they wanted, and you'd never know the difference. But no, according to the chemtrail believers, the government prefers to spend billions of dollars on a fleet of planes to crisscross the sky, leaving behind trails that are visible to anyone with a pair of eyes and a functioning brain. The irony is that the government doesn't need to resort to such elaborate schemes. If they wanted to control you, they already have plenty of tools at their disposal. Social media algorithms? Check. Endless streams of mind-numbing entertainment? Check. A 24-hour news cycle that keeps you perpetually outraged? Double check. The idea that they would need to spray chemicals from airplanes to manipulate you is not only absurd, but also deeply insulting to the countless bureaucrats who have spent years perfecting the art of psychological manipulation. Why bother with chemtrails when a well-timed tweet can send the entire population into a frenzy? And let's not forget the sheer impracticality of the chemtrail conspiracy. If the government were really spraying chemicals from airplanes, wouldn't someone have noticed by now? Pilots, air traffic controllers, and aviation engineers would have to be in on the conspiracy, which means thousands of people would have to keep their mouths shut, a feat that would require a level of discipline and secrecy that even the most authoritarian regimes could only dream of. And what about the chemicals themselves? Where are they being manufactured? How are they being transported? Who's mixing them up in giant vats and loading them onto planes? The logistics of such an operation would be a nightmare, and yet, according to the chemtrail believers, the government has managed to pull it off without a single leak or whistleblower. It's almost impressive, in a completely ridiculous way. But the chemtrail conspiracy is just one example of a larger trend, the tendency of conspiracy theorists to come up with insanely complicated solutions to simple problems. Take the moon landing hoax, for example. According to some, the United States faked the moon landing to win the space race against the Soviet Union. But think about what that would entail: building a massive soundstage, creating realistic moon rocks, and somehow convincing thousands of scientists, engineers, and astronauts to keep quiet about the whole thing. And for what? To prove that we could do something we were already perfectly capable of doing? It's like robbing a bank to prove you're good at math. Or consider the flat Earth theory, which posits that the Earth is not a sphere but a flat disk, and that NASA and other space agencies are part of a global conspiracy to hide the truth. Never mind that the idea of a flat Earth has been debunked for thousands of years, or that the laws of physics as we know them would have to be completely rewritten to accommodate such a model. The flat earthers insist that we're all being lied to, and that the truth is being kept from us by a shadowy cabal of scientists and government officials. It's a theory so absurd that it's almost charming in its stupidity. And then there's the idea that the Illuminati, a secret society that supposedly controls the world, is behind everything from the French Revolution to the rise of pop music. According to this theory, the Illuminati is pulling the strings of governments, corporations, and celebrities, all in service of their ultimate goal, world domination. But if the Illuminati is so powerful, why do they need to hide? Why not just come out and take over the world openly? And why would they bother with such trivial matters as who wins the Grammy Awards or what kind of shoes Kim Kardashian is wearing? It's almost as if the Illuminati is less of a real organization and more of a convenient scapegoat for everything that's wrong with the world. The common thread in all these conspiracy theories is their reliance on overly complicated explanations for relatively simple phenomena. Contrails are just water vapor, the moon landing was real, the earth is round, and the Illuminati is probably just a bunch of rich guys playing golf. But for some reason, people prefer to believe in elaborate conspiracies rather than accept the mundane truth. Maybe it's because conspiracies are more exciting, or maybe it's because they provide a sense of control in a chaotic world. After all, if the government is secretly controlling everything, then at least someone is in charge, even if they're evil. The alternative, that the world is a messy, unpredictable place where bad things happen for no reason, is far more terrifying. But the real tragedy of conspiracy theories is that they distract us from the real issues. While people are busy worrying about chemtrails and the Illuminati, they're ignoring the very real problems facing our world: climate change, income inequality, political corruption, and so on. These are the issues that deserve our attention and energy, not some half-baked theory about the government spraying chemicals from airplanes. If we're going to fight against something, let's make it something that actually exists. In the end, the chemtrail conspiracy is just another fairy tale, a story we tell ourselves to make sense of a world that often doesn't make sense. But unlike traditional fairy tales, which teach us valuable lessons about courage, kindness, and the power of love, the chemtrail conspiracy teaches us nothing but fear and mistrust. It's a dark, twisted story with no heroes, no happy endings, and no point other than to make us feel small and powerless. So the next time you look up at the sky and see those long, white streaks trailing behind an airplane, don't panic. They're not chemtrails, they're just contrails, a harmless byproduct of modern aviation. And if the government really wants to give you a healthy dose of chemicals, they'll find a much simpler way to do it. After all, why go to all the trouble of spraying chemicals from airplanes when they could just slip something into your morning coffee? Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go make myself a cup. Black, no sugar, and definitely no mind control drugs. Probably. Please like and subscribe.